Okay, some principles about how this boat's going to work. This is a little bit idiosyncratic. You probably won't see anybody do it just like I'm going to do it, but this is the way I want to do it because I really like it. I'm going to use watertight cylinders, and I've got some nice acrylic cylinders. I've made some nice end caps that will fit in all of those. I've also been, as you can see, building a piston that's going to fit in the middle of the boat. Okay, so that's all coming along. So let me say, first of all, how this is all going to work and how I like to put this together, and I'll just put the cylinders up here so that you can see them. The first thing I'm going to do is put an end cap right here and attach to that end cap the motors so that everything is going to be connected. It's going to be bolt in, bolt out, that end cap. And onto that I'm going to put a watertight cylinder with a complete end, so it's going to be sealed at the end of that. I can remove that when it's in the boat and I can put it back on. In the middle of the boat there's going to be a watertight cylinder this is bigger than it is in reality. At this end I'm going to have an end cap, and in the middle here, where it's probably 3/4 of the way, I'm going to have a glued in partition, and into that partition I'm going to put my piston. This is the piston, this is what it looks like. It's going to fit into there, and the rod from the back of this is going to go out that far. In this end, and bolted onto the back of this end cap, is going to be the pump that pumps water in and out of that tank. And the piston obviously is going to go up and there, and there's the motor. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is put a connector in here with another O-ring. And here it is, right now. That's just going to fit into there. I'm going to add another one, another watertight cylinder onto here, which goes up that far, and put another end cap on there, which I don't intend to necessarily remove very often. And on that end cap there's going to be a tray, or a couple of trays. All the electronic gear is going to go on there. The reason I like this sort of system is that when I take the boat out of the water, the first thing that I can do is just break this connection here, pull the end away, take that end cap off, and the air breathes into that system, lift it out of the boat, and then remove this from the end, and everything then is nicely breathing. Now, as awful as this looks, this is the one that's in the U-boat. And I take this out. This sits on the shelf, happily, in between sails, and everything can breathe. There's no moisture in there. It's really quite good. So I like that kind of system. The issue I'm going to have to think about early in this process, however, is the positioning of the tank and where are the batteries going to go. Now, in my U-boat I've got C batteries, nickel hydride batteries, and I've got them sealed and they sit in the water. Now I'm going to use some nice LiPo batteries with this, and I'm going to put them into the watertight containers. I'm not sure where yet, and the process of doing this is going to be quite interesting. So just very quickly, the way I can see this happening, and I've already built the hull, and I'll talk to you more about that in a minute, but this is just the major important stuff, is I'm going to start the process by building in this end cap into the stern. I want to get that as close to the stern as I can, given the fact that the props are splayed. I'm going to have to work that out with some care. I'm going to make sure that I can bolt this in and out so that in fact I can take it out. Now, how long is this going to be? I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that point. Well, the motors are connected to it, I would imagine, and the shafts and so on. Leave it. Because then I want to ask, where is this ballast tank going to sit? And the ballast tank in this boat is going to need to be not right in the middle, but a bit forward, because the boat really has, when you see it, it has a slightly upward perspective. So this is a bit risky. I'm just going to take a stab at it, but I reckon probably with a boat that big, maybe 2 or even 3 centimeters further forward than you would normally think. That means that this end cap is going to be fitting on here with the pump on it, which this is clearly out of perspective at this point. But once I've got this in, and I've got this on here, and I've got that that connector on here, and I've got the piston in there, I then will know how long I can make that, and then I will get an idea of how long I can make that bow section, depending on the constriction of the bow of the hull. I also want to make room in here for the hydroplane equipment. I'm not sure at the moment how I'm going to do that. I might have the servos in there with rods, I might have the servos in the drink. I'm pretty sure that the motor that's going to close those hydroplanes up is going to be sitting in the drink. So once I've done that, I can work out where that battery is going to go. At the moment, I'm thinking it's going to go in the stern. Interesting. We shall find out when we start working with all of this. I'd imagine most of the electronics will go in here, and I'd imagine that I'm going to need a corridor of wires that are going to run all the way around there and into there. Quite a number of wires. On my other older submarine, I ran them across the top and it looks really ugly. I'm going to hide them this time. I also need to then think about where the trim tanks are going to go. And once again, we're going to have to think about the rubber tube that's going to connect the trim tanks and all of that. I'm hoping I can get it all along underneath the watertight cylinders. And yeah, I've got another set of batteries for the radio, and they are probably going to be fitting in around this area here. I'm not particularly sure about where they're going to go either. So, suck it and see. That's the principle behind the boat, and that, I think, will be how I proceed with this. We'll find out.